we are eliminating the problem of the cross-contamination between the plants.
Hi, could you please both introduce yourself a bit and also your company, CleanGreens? And Martina, please start.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, nice to meet you. I'm Martina, working as a business developer for CleanGreens since 3.5 years now. I'm mainly in charge of targeting clients in Europe and Spanish speakers country. I'm Italian, and CleanGreens was founded in 2013 now, focused for 10 years in developing the actual system for growing with aeroponics technology.
And hi, so I'm Basil. I'm an agronomical engineer. I work in CleanGreens since almost 5 years now. I'm also taking the customer support and some part of the training to train the new customers, or when you have new improvement to our customers that we already have.
So what does CleanGreens do? Do you just install the systems, or do you also provide some other services?
So CleanGreens have developed this technique for growing in greenhouse with the aeroponics technology. Our focus is on the irrigation system. We are installing and pre-assembling the system here in Switzerland and then shipping to the client site. We are part of an ecosystem, of course, so as you can understand easily, our system is a small part of a huge project behind, starting from the greenhouse, starting from the LED system, heating, cooling, all the equipment that a greenhouse and a controlled environment agriculture needs. So as we are either partnering with the other companies for building and installing a project on the client side, otherwise, is the client that may decide to go with their partners, their collaborators for greenhouse and all these equipment that I mentioned before. Or otherwise, we are providing this support to the client, providing a turnkey project.
So when you said you are pre-assembling it in Switzerland, how does the shipping work? So because normally I send just small packets, but how do you send such a system?
Well, this depends where we are shipping. We ship, if it's in Europe, it's mainly by truck. And for instance, the project that we have in Kuwait, we ship by containers, so by sea. And then the containers arriving at the port, then we moved in the desert by truck.
So I've read about your project in Kuwait and wanted to ask you about the experience in building a facility and actually growing produce in such harsh environment.
Well, of course, this was quite a challenge. Actually, if we compare to Europe, it's almost the opposite. So here in Europe, we have winter that is the worst season in a way. So we need to heat up and also to have lights, or at least a bit of light, additional light to continue to grow with the same kind of speed. In Kuwait, the problem, or not a problem, but the thing we faced is that since summer is really hot, we have different kind of shadow to block the sun to avoid this excess heat. So in the end, there was not enough light. So the problem was that there was less light in summer than in winter. So we had to adapt this and add some additional light. And also the temperature is quite, let's say, not complicated, but it was a bit of a work to manage it. But now it's working well, and they have really good quality produce, and we are proud of what they achieved.
Perfect. And how big is the facility?
The facility is around 7,000 square feet of production.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Square meters.
Square
meter. Okay.
It's a bit bigger.
What would you say or list as the main advantages and disadvantages of aeroponics, for example, in comparison to an NFT system?
So our technology, was developed trying to solve the main problems occurring with other kind of technologies. And one talks about hydroponics because it's the one of the most known among the others, but actually there are many technologies that might be compared in terms of innovation with hydroponics and aeroponics. Of course, our system, if we do like the street comparison with the hydroponics, first of all, sees the roots of the plant that are suspended in the air. So there's no floating system, there's no bay where the roots are floating in the same water all day long, all year round. So our main distinction point compared to NFT, compared to gutter system, is that the roots are suspended and there's an irrigation mobile robot that sprays the plants from below. What is, let's say, the consequence of being sprayed from below is that the roots are all separated from each other. So we are eliminating the problem of the cross-contamination between the plants, meaning that if occasionally one of your plants gets sick, all the other remains unaffected because they are all separated. This instead doesn't happen with hydroponics cultivation, where all the plants, they are floating in the same water, and by that, if one gets sick, all the others are easily contaminated. Also, the problem concerning other kind of technologies with the irrigation system is that the work that is behind, so the maintenance of the system, is very difficult, caused by the fact that the irrigation is fixed. So whenever you might have a problem in your irrigation because the nozzles are not working properly, the maintenance behind is very difficult. Compared to our system instead, where we have a mobile irrigation system, this allows for controlling and checking the status of the nozzles easily. Meaning, okay, you take it out one module from your line, you put the irrigation system working, and you easily see if there's a problem on your nozzles. So it's a very easy and easily maintained system compared to others. Then, of course, in terms of yield, we achieve great yields, but especially for herbs, we allow to have a multi-cut harvesting, meaning that with the same substrate and with the same seed, the plant can be cutted until 7 times, meaning that with the same consumables, which in the end is a cost, these substrate, the seeds, they can be used and put in production cycle many more times after the first harvest, by also increasing the yield. So these are the main distinctions. In terms of variety, we have much more flexibility of variety that we can grow. And of course, I didn't mention it, but it's because sometimes it's given for granted, but of course the fact that the roots are in the air, this impacted the health and let's say the strength of the plant. By being full oxygenated, they are not impacted by bacteria as if inside the water, of course, because they are full oxygenated, but also being in a shaded area, they are not, let's say, impacted by sunlight and of course by the let's say, as a consequence, disincentivate the proliferation of bacteria. Mm-hmm. If Basil wants to add something specifically from the agronomic side, otherwise, I think
okay.
I gave some advantages compared to other systems. I mean, there are so many technologies today that are popping in the market that in the end I think better to compare is to highlight what you can achieve with our system instead of comparing. Of course, if we compare our system with traditional farming, then you see the real differences. But in the end, our system was developed exactly according to, okay, let's understand what the current system are struggling with and try to solve these problems.
And I've read that your system reduces water consumption by 96% compared to cultivation. And it's really a trend to compare the water usage, like hydroponics allegedly uses 90% less water and so on. But could you please explain how does one measure this? Like what field cultivation technique is used as the base, etc.?
You want to reply, Mazil?
Yeah, I think you can do.
Okay. So imagine that our system, so the saving of the water comes mainly from the fact that there is a closed loop cycle, meaning that when the plants are irrigated, of course, the root will absorb only what it needs, and all the excess is left by the roots on the floor. But the floor of our system is developed in a way that everything that is sprayed is then collected, filtered by a filtration system to clean the water and to keep the elements inside the water constant, and then reinjected into the system. This closed loop cycle, of course, allow us to have a very low level of water consumption and of nutrient solution also, because everything that is not used by the plants is collected, re-put, let's say, in the status for irrigation, and then it goes again in the irrigation cycle. So that's the reason why we are able to, let's say, save so much water compared to traditional farming, but also compared to other technologies. Then, of course, we are able to control the frequency of the irrigation. By doing that, we avoid over-irrigating the plants when they don't need it. By, of course, checking all the need of the plant through the use of sensors, through the use of analysis of the leaves. We understand how the plant is and how much water they need exactly in the different time of the day, and of course, following the seasonal variation outside to align with what the plant needs.
Mm-hmm. How long does it take for your system to pay off when somebody buys it?
To pay off?
Yeah, so that the investment returns.
Yeah, let's
to
say
the
that
grower.
our objectives is having an ROI of 7 years. Which we think is a good return on the investment for such installations. Of course, the variables that may impact this payoff concern mainly the selling price of your produce. Because, of course, if you are, the economies of scale of the system, first of all, they have an impact on the capex, overall capex. Meaning that, of course, if you're going to have an installation of 5,000 meters square or another one of 7,000 meters square, it is not mandatory that the 7,000 meters square is going to be more expensive per meter square compared to the one of 5,000 meters square. That's the reason behind it is that the robot, so the irrigation system, it's one for each line. So if you have a longer line, of course, you're gonna, let's say, amortize the cost and the investment of one robot in a longer line, meaning in a bigger production of fresh produce. So everything depends. The main variables for the payoff are the dimension of the system, considering, of course, the economies of scale, and the selling price and the final value of your produce. Of course, the value of your produce will be different if you sell the full head or chopped lettuces, for instance, for the packaged industry. Of course, the product that is processed earns value. So you are able to, let's say, pay off your investment more quickly.
Mm-hmm. And who is it meant for? Are you, for example, not working with like small operations because it wouldn't make sense, or do you go only after like mid-size operations? How does it work?
Well, You can probably tell better this, Martina, but there's a size where it's maybe not interesting to have the system as we have it today. We are working on some different products to have something that will be more interesting, especially for small farmer, or just to have something aside. But yeah, there is a size that is critic. Then yeah, if it's smaller than this, it will not be, or probably it will be really complicated to be profitable.
Is around, let's say that the threshold for being profitable and having the right payoff is starting from 2,000 meters square. Of course, we do have several layout and configuration of the system depending on the client needs. I would say that our target client is also not huge farmers, not huge producers, but of course need to have a market, a selected market. Our clients in Europe, they don't have huge installations. They are around 3,000 meters square, 5,000 meters square, and they are doing great with this size. So I would say, as we are the only company now that is doing a large scale greenhouse with the aeroponic system, of course, I would say that the trade-off is in between, profitability and dimension of the installation.
That makes sense. And would you like to add something to our conversation that we didn't talk about?
Well, I will just add one little thing that I always care saying, because what we receive from the market is a lot of skepticism, and people are a bit reluctant in trying these new technologies, because what we saw in the market in the past years were a lot of companies trying but never arriving at satisfying the level of expectations of the farmers. As CleanGreens, I think after 10 years of R&D, and now since our first installation that was in 2019, we have achieved, I think, 6 years already of experience by our client. So I think that the level of improvement that we have been doing since 6 years, since our first installation, it makes a system credibility gave by itself. I mean, we don't need anymore to convince people that it works, you know. We only need people that are able to believe on what they see. I always encourage people to come visit us, go on our client site and visit the client site to see exactly how the operation is and how the system works. Because otherwise it can remain only words, and, unfortunately some technologies didn't work, some yes, very good. And I think that we need to build the trust on the market. There's a lot of people that don't want to listen, not even to it, because they are already tired. And I think instead that the innovation is there, and this should be the future for agriculture.
Mm-hmm. And to you, Basil, do you want to add something?
No, I think, the most important thing is not try it, but at least see how it looks and the product and the quality we can achieve. So the best way to see it is see it by yourself. So go discuss with us, and then we can show you directly with one of our clients. And it's always more interesting really to see a real facility working with rather than images or talk or whatever. So I think that the main thing is really to come, and we would love to show you how it works.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you very much for coming on my show.
Thank you very much.